Chapter 1. The Exile. Narrator. The Galactic Empire had ruled the stars for over 10,000 years. Its fleets stretched across thousands of worlds. Its armies had never known defeat. Its emperor believed there was only one law in the universe. Power decides everything. Humanity had never agreed. 3 centuries after the human exodus, only one human was known to still exist. His name was Captain Adrian Cross. He wasn't a king. He wasn't a politician. He wasn't even a famous soldier. He was simply the last surviving captain of the lost human expeditionary fleet. When Imperial hunters finally captured him near the edge of the Orion Rift, they expected another broken prisoner. Instead, they found a man who smiled. The enormous throne room of the alien empire echoed with whispers. As Adrian was dragged before Emperor Valor, thousands of nobles watched from towering balconies. Some laughed. Some looked curious. Others stared at the human with open hatred. Valor leaned forward. "So? The last human." Adrian calmly looked around the chamber. "I've seen bigger rooms." The entire court gasped. No one spoke to the emperor that way. Valor smiled. "You're either very brave, very foolish." Adrian shrugged. "Sometimes they're the same thing." The emperor stood. "For centuries, your people challenged the empire. They refused to kneel. They disappeared. And now, you stand here alone." Adrian answered quietly. "No, I stand here because humanity never kneels." The guards tightened their weapons. The emperor laughed loudly. "I could execute you." "You could. But history would remember you as the emperor who feared one unarmed human." Silence. Even the royal guards exchanged nervous glances. Princess Celine, the emperor's daughter, had watched quietly from the side of the throne. She expected arrogance. Instead, she saw confidence. There was a difference. She whispered, "Interesting." Rather than ordering Adrian's execution, the emperor made another decision. "I won't kill you. You'll receive something worse." He pointed toward the massive observation window overlooking empty space. "You are banished. No ship, no weapons, no supplies. You will spend the rest of your life on the dead world of Karos." The nobles erupted into applause. Everyone knew Karos. Nothing survived there. As Adrian was escorted away, Princess Celine asked, "Father, what if he survives?" The emperor smiled. "Then perhaps humanity deserves another chance." Hours later, a small prison shuttle landed on the barren world of Karos. The guards removed Adrian's restraints. One of them left. "Goodbye, human." The shuttle disappeared into the stars. Adrian stood alone beneath a crimson sky. Mountains of black stone stretched to the horizon. No cities, no life, only silence. He looked toward the sky and smiled. Chapter 2. The Signal That Woke Humanity. Narrator. The tiny blue light on Adrian Cross's silver pendant blinked once, then twice. After 300 years of silence, the human emergency beacon had finally received a reply. Adrian closed his eyes and smiled. "So, you really made it." Millions of light years away, beyond every known star chart, a colossal fleet drifted silently inside a hidden nebula. Thousands of silver warships rested in perfect formation. Their engines had been dormant for centuries. Then, without warning, every command console came to life. A calm artificial voice echoed across the fleet. "Emergency beacon Alpha detected. Identity confirmed. Captain Adrian Cross." Across hundreds of bridges, lights flickered on. Sleeping systems awakened. Massive reactors hummed back to life. The fleet had been waiting for one signal. It had finally arrived. On the command ship Resolute, an elderly woman opened her eyes from cryogenic sleep. She looked around the quiet chamber. An officer rushed toward her. "Fleet Marshal." "The beacon." She finished a sentence herself. "Adrian." The officer nodded. "He survived." A gentle smile appeared on her face. "I told them he would." Back on Karos, the dead world wasn't as empty as it appeared. Adrian climbed a steep cliff overlooking a vast desert. He stopped before a giant stone covered in strange markings. To anyone else, it looked natural. To Adrian, it was a door. He placed his hand against the surface. The silver pendant glowed brightly. Ancient machinery awakened beneath the ground. Dust shook loose from the cliffs. The stone slowly split apart, hidden beneath the mountain. A massive underground facility lit up for the first time in centuries. Rows of human starfighters, autonomous defense drones, medical stations, food reserves. Everything humanity had hidden before disappearing. Adrian smiled. Welcome back. Meanwhile, inside the Imperial Palace, Princess Celine stood on a balcony, staring toward the stars. She couldn't stop thinking about the human. 3 years had passed since his exile. Most believed he had died within days. Yet, she wasn't convinced. Her chief advisor approached. Your Highness, the Emperor wishes to begin the Victory Festival. She nodded politely. I'll be there. But before leaving, she quietly whispered to herself, I hope you're still alive. Suddenly, Imperial long-range sensors detected something impossible. An officer burst into the throne room. Your Majesty! The Emperor frowned. What is it? We've detected hyperspace disturbances. How many ships? The officer hesitated. We don't know. The sensors can't count them. The throne room fell silent. Far beyond Imperial space, thousands of blue hyperspace gates opened simultaneously. One after another, ancient human warships emerged from the darkness. Chapter 3. The Human Fleet Returns. Narrator. The skies above Karos came alive. At first, they looked like falling stars. Then the lights grew larger, brighter. Hundreds became thousands. Thousands became tens of thousands. The barren world that had been silent for centuries suddenly trembled beneath the engines of the largest human fleet ever assembled. Deep inside the imperial capital, emergency sirens echoed through every military command center. An officer rushed into Emperor Valor's war room. Your Majesty. The Emperor looked up from the holographic star map. What is it now? The officer's hands trembled. Long-range sensors have confirmed the unknown fleet. Valor crossed his arms. Identify them. The officer swallowed hard. They're broadcasting an ancient signal. What signal? The room became completely silent as the officer answered. Human. Military commanders exchanged nervous glances. Impossible. Humanity disappeared 3 centuries ago. Another officer interrupted. Not anymore. The star map zoomed out. Blue icons filled the edge of Imperial space. Every second, more appeared. The computer finally stopped counting. Human vessels detected. 48,762. The Emperor stared at the number. For the first time in decades, he had no words. On Karos, Adrian stood outside the hidden underground base. A massive shadow crossed the sky. The flagship Resolute descended slowly through the clouds. Its silver hull reflected the crimson sunlight. The ship landed with quiet precision. Its main ramp lowered. Rows of human soldiers marched out in perfect formation. None raised their weapons. Instead, every soldier stopped, placed a fist over their heart, and saluted. At their center walked Fleet Marshal Helena Ward. She stopped a few feet from Adrian. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Helena smiled. You kept us waiting, Captain. Adrian laughed softly. I had to make sure the beacon still worked. The soldiers around them smiled. For the first time in 3 centuries, humanity's family was together again. Helena handed Adrian a small metal case. I believe this belongs to you. He opened it carefully. Inside rested his old Fleet Command insignia. Slightly worn, perfectly preserved. He held it silently. So, you really kept it? Helena nodded. We promised we'd return it when humanity needed its captain again. Adrian pinned the insignia onto his jacket. It fit as though it had never left. Suddenly, every screen aboard the Resolute flashed red. Incoming transmission. The image of Emperor Valor appeared. He looked directly at Adrian. So, you survived. Adrian smiled. I told you humanity never kneels. The Emperor remained calm. You've brought quite a fleet. Adrian answered, not for war, For peace. Some of the Imperial advisors laughed. Valor raised a hand for silence. If you seek peace. Chapter 4. The Enemy Beyond the Stars. Narrator. The galaxy had prepared for one war. Instead, it was about to face another. One far older. One far more terrifying. Imperial colony Arctis 9 had gone silent. More than 12 million civilians lived there. Not a single distress call escaped. Only static. When an Imperial reconnaissance cruiser arrived, its crew found the planet intact. Its cities still stood. Its streets were clean. Its vehicles remained where they had been left. But there was no one. No soldiers. No civilians. No bodies. Nothing. Captain Wren whispered, "Where did everyone go?" Before anyone could answer, every light aboard the cruiser went dark. The bridge windows slowly turned black. Something enormous blocked out the stars. On the flagship Resolute, Fleet Marshal Helena studied the latest reports. 7 colonies had disappeared in less than 48 hours. Imperial worlds, independent stations, even abandoned mining outposts. The pattern made no sense. Adrian looked at the holographic map. They're not attacking military targets. Helena nodded. They're collecting populations. General Marcus Hale frowned. For slavery? Adrian slowly shook his head. No. For something worse. Inside the Imperial Palace, Emperor Valor called an emergency war council. The greatest admirals of the Empire filled the chamber. One commander slammed his fist on the table. This is humanity. They've returned with a hidden weapon. Princess Celine immediately objected. No, I spoke with Adrian Cross. He warned us. The commander laughed. You trust a human? Celine answered calmly. I trust evidence. The room fell silent. Even the Emperor seemed uncertain. Suddenly, every screen inside the palace activated. Not by Imperial command, by someone else. A strange symbol appeared. A circle surrounding a black star. Then, a voice unlike anything the galaxy had ever heard echoed through every communication network. Cold, ancient, emotionless. We are the harvest. Your civilizations have reached maturity. Collection has begun. Panic spread across hundreds of worlds. The transmission continued. Resistance is statistically irrelevant. Your biological and technological resources will be preserved. Compliance increases survival probability by 11%. The signal ended, not with static, with silence, complete silence, as though the galaxy itself had stopped breathing. Back aboard the Resolute, Adrian stared at the unfamiliar symbol. His smile disappeared. Helena noticed immediately. You've seen it before? Adrian nodded slowly. When I was a cadet, everyone turned toward him. My instructors taught us about an enemy humanity hoped never to meet. General Hale frowned. A legend? Adrian answered quietly. No. A warning. He activated an old classified file. Ancient human records filled the holographic display. Most were heavily damaged. Only one sentence remained completely readable. Chapter 5. The Emperor's Impossible Decision. Narrator. Fear spread across the galaxy faster than any fleet. Within 72 hours, 23 colonies had vanished. Not destroyed, not conquered, simply gone. Every distress signal ended the same way. A single sentence echoed through the stars. The harvest continues. Inside the Imperial War Palace, Emperor Valor stood before the largest tactical map ever assembled. Hundreds of officers watched in complete silence. Red markers continued appearing across the hologram. Each one represented another lost world. An admiral finally spoke. Your Majesty, if this continues, we'll lose the Outer Rim within a month. Valor clenched his fists. For the first time in his reign, his empire faced an enemy it couldn't understand. Princess Celine stepped toward the center of the chamber. We're preparing for the wrong war. Several nobles immediately protested. Humanity cannot be trusted. They've hidden an army for centuries. Celine remained calm. And yet, They're the only civilization that recognized this enemy. The room fell silent. No one could argue with the evidence. Meanwhile, aboard the Resolute, Adrian Cross studied ancient human records. Fleet Marshal Helena Ward stood beside him. The archives recovered another file. She projected a damaged recording. The image flickered. An elderly human scientist appeared. If you're watching this, then Project Sentinel has failed. The harvest has returned. The recording crackled with interference. We could never defeat them. We could only slow them. Adrian frowned. What happened to the rest of the file? Helena shook her head. Corrupted. Only fragments survived. Suddenly, alarms echoed throughout the bridge. A scout ship had arrived. Its captain looked shaken. Captain Cross, we found survivors. Where? Colony Epsilon 12. Adrian's eyes widened. The harvest leaves survivors? The captain nodded. But they keep saying the same thing. Minutes later, the survivors were brought aboard the Resolute. They showed no physical injuries, but their faces were pale. Their eyes were filled with fear. A young girl quietly whispered. They never spoke. They never shouted. They just looked at us. Another survivor added, they weren't angry. They weren't cruel. It was like, we weren't people. We were inventory. Silence filled the medical bay. Back inside the Imperial Palace, another emergency transmission arrived. This one wasn't from the harvest. It was from Adrian Cross. The Emperor accepted the communication. Adrian appeared on the massive screen. Neither man spoke for several seconds. Finally, Adrian broke the silence. You have two choices. The Emperor raised an eyebrow. Chapter 6. The Alliance of Enemies. Narrator. For the first time over 300 years, human and Imperial fleets stood in the same star system. Not as enemies. Not yet as allies. Just two civilizations watching each other in complete silence. Thousands of silver human warships faced thousands of dark Imperial battle cruisers. One mistake, one nervous captain, could start the largest war in galactic history. Aboard the Imperial flagship Eternal Crown, Emperor Valor stood on the bridge. His admirals waited for the order to arm their weapons. Instead, the Emperor spoke calmly. Power down every primary cannon. The bridge fell silent. One admiral protested. Your Majesty, the humans could attack. Valor replied without looking away from the view screen. If they wanted war, they wouldn't have answered my request to meet. Reluctantly, the fleet obeyed. Across space, the glowing barrels of Imperial weapons slowly dimmed. On the human flagship Resolute, Fleet Marshal Helena Ward noticed the change. They're powering down. General Marcus Hale frowned. A trick? Adrian shook his head. No, it's respect. He smiled slightly. Let's return the gesture. Moments later, every human battleship lowered its shields and powered down its heavy weapons. Two great fleets, separated by only a few kilometers, chose trust over fear. A single diplomatic shuttle departed the Resolute. Another launched from the Eternal Crown. They met inside a neutral orbital station abandoned centuries earlier. The station had once hosted peace talks between dozens of civilizations. Now, history returned to its silent halls. The meeting chamber was simple. A round table, 6 chairs, no guards. Adrian entered first. Moments later, Emperor Valor stepped through the opposite door. For several seconds, neither man spoke. Then the Emperor smiled. I must admit, I didn't expect you to survive Karos. Adrian laughed softly. You chose the wrong planet. Even Valor chuckled. The tension eased. Princess Celine entered beside her father. She looked at Adrian. I knew you were alive. Adrian smiled. I'm glad someone believed in me. Helena Ward and General Hale joined them. The meeting finally began. A holographic map appeared above the table. Red symbols marked harvester activity. Every hour, the number increased. Helena spoke first. We estimate they've already taken over 40 populated worlds. General Hale added, and they're avoiding major military fleets. Princess Celine frowned. They're hunting civilians. Adrian nodded. They're harvesting knowledge. Everyone looked at him. Adrian enlarged one of the captured harvester vessels. They don't conquer civilizations. Chapter 7, The Cradle of the Guardians. Narrator. The name echoed through the silent chamber. The Cradle of the Guardians. No one had ever heard it before, except Adrian. He closed his eyes, searching through memories buried since childhood. Then he remembered. He was 8 years old. His father had pointed toward the stars outside, their family's small transport ship. There are places even maps refused to remember. Adrian had laughed. How can a map forget? His father smiled, because some secrets protect themselves. The very same pendant that had awakened humanity's hidden fleet. If the day ever comes, follow the light. The memory faded. Back in the present, Fleet Marshal Helena Ward studied Adrian carefully. You've remembered something. Adrian nodded. My father knew about the cradle. Princess Celine frowned. Who was he? Adrian hesitated. I never knew. He disappeared when I was 10. General Marcus Hale looked surprised. I thought pirates took him. So did I. Adrian looked down at the pendant. Now not so sure. Inside the Imperial Palace, scientists searched every historical archive. Nothing. No mention of the Guardians. No record of the cradle. It was as though the entire subject had been erased from history. One elderly imperial historian finally spoke. There is one legend. Everyone turned toward him. It says that before the first star empires, there were guardians. They never ruled. They never conquered. They only appeared when the galaxy faced extinction. Princess Celine whispered. So they were protectors. The historian slowly nodded, and then they vanished. Suddenly, a human exploration vessel transmitted an urgent report. Captain Cross, we've located an anomaly. A star map appeared. In the middle of empty space, there was a region where every sensor failed. No stars, no radiation, no gravity readings. Only darkness. Adrian smiled faintly. We found it. The combined human and Imperial fleet jumped into hyperspace. For the first time in history, former enemies traveled side by side. Princess Celine stood beside Adrian on the bridge of the Resolute. You really believe your father wanted you to find this place? Adrian looked ahead. I think he wanted humanity to be ready. Hours later, the fleet emerged from hyperspace. Everyone stared through their viewports. Nothing. Only endless darkness. General Hale frowned. We're too late. Ancient orbital rings. Crystal moons. At the center, a breathtaking blue world surrounded by enormous white structures stretching into orbit. Princess Celine whispered, "It's beautiful." Helena Ward looked at the ancient architecture. No, it's impossible. Human computers began translating old symbols floating around the planet. A single message repeated in dozens of forgotten languages. Welcome. Chapter 8. The Planet That Chose Humanity. Narrator. The hidden star system erupted into chaos. Thousands of harvester warships surrounded the cradle. Their black hulls formed an endless ring around the ancient world. Yet, none of them fired. They simply waited, as if expecting something. On the bridge of the Resolute, warning alarms echoed continuously. Enemy fleet detected. Estimated strength. The tactical computer paused, then displayed a number no one wanted to see. Harvester vessels, 312,418. General Marcus Hale stared at the screen. 300,000. We can't win that fight. Fleet Marshal Helena Ward remained calm. Not by force. Emperor Valor's flagship moved alongside the human fleet. For the first time in Imperial history, human and Imperial admirals shared a single tactical network. Princess Celine smiled. 3 years ago, my father exiled one human. Today, he's trusting humanity with the future of the galaxy. Valor gave a small nod. I've made worse mistakes. Even Adrian laughed. Without warning, the blue planet at the center of the system began to glow. Ancient rings surrounding it slowly rotated. Massive crystal towers rose from beneath the oceans. The entire world was waking up. A deep, gentle voice echoed across every ship, not through speakers, but directly into every mind. Guardian Air, Welcome home. Every captain looked at Adrian. The message had spoken to him. Adrian stepped onto the bridge observation deck. The silver pendant around his neck floated into the air. A beam of blue light connected him to the planet below. Ancient symbols appeared around him, thousands of years old, yet strangely familiar. The voice spoke again. Identity confirmed, genetic lineage verified. Guardian protocol restored. Princess Celine whispered, "It chose him." The Harvester fleet finally moved. Hundreds of black ships accelerated toward the planet. But before they reached orbit, something extraordinary happened. The ancient orbital rings came alive. Thousands of blue energy shields expanded across the system. Every Harvester weapon struck the barrier and vanished without leaving a mark. General Hale stared in disbelief. "What kind of technology is this?" Helena answered softly, "Technology, far older than humanity." Deep beneath the planet's surface, gigantic doors opened. One by one, ancient Guardian ships rose into the sky. Their designs were elegant, silver, covered in glowing blue lines. Unlike warships, they looked almost alive. The human computers couldn't identify them. An elderly woman dressed in white robes smiled warmly. Unlike the Harvester intelligence, her eyes were filled with kindness. "Welcome, Adrian Cross." He looked at her in surprise. "You know my name." She nodded. "I've known it since before you were born." The bridge fell silent. Chapter 9. The Legacy of the First Guardian. Narrator. The Harvester world darkened the sky. Its immense silhouette stretched across the stars, making entire fleets appear insignificant. Billions of crimson lights ignited across its surface. Inside the ancient Guardian temple, Adrian, Princess Celine, Emperor Valor, Fleet Marshal Helena Ward, and General Marcus Hale followed Elira. Through a vast hall carved from shimmering crystal, the walls were alive with moving images. They showed civilizations rising, worlds flourishing, children of countless species laughing together. Adrian looked around. "This isn't a fortress." Elira smiled. "No, it never was. It was a promise." They entered a circular chamber where a glowing sphere floated in the center. As Adrian approached, the sphere expanded into a three-dimensional map of the galaxy. Golden stars connected by streams of blue light. Elira spoke softly. "Long before the First Empire, the Guardians traveled these stars. They never ruled. They never demanded loyalty. Their only purpose was to preserve freedom." Princess Celine asked, "Then why did they disappear?" The hologram changed. Dark shapes spread across the map like a shadow. "The harvest." Elira continued. "The harvesters believed that civilizations would eventually destroy themselves. So they created a solution. They would preserve every species by ending its future." General Hale frowned. "That's not preservation. It's extinction." Elira nodded. "The Guardians believed every civilization deserved the right to choose its own destiny." Adrian stepped closer. "Why humanity?" Elira looked directly at him. "We searched the galaxy for thousands of years, for a species strong enough to fight, but compassionate enough not to rule." The hologram shifted again. Images of ancient humans appeared, doctors treating alien children, explorers rescuing stranded crews, engineers rebuilding devastated worlds. Elira smiled. "The Guardians didn't choose humanity because you were the strongest. They chose you because, even when you had power, you shared it." Silence filled the chamber. Suddenly, alarms echoed through the temple. The Harvester world had begun firing. A massive crimson beam struck the Guardian shield. The entire planet trembled. Outside, human and Imperial fleets rushed forward to reinforce the ancient defenses. Admiral after admiral transmitted the same order: protect the cradle. Thousands of ships formed a living wall between the Harvester armada and the Guardian world. On the battlefield, Emperor Valor watched human pilots risking their lives to shield Imperial cruisers. He turned to Princess Celine. "I spent my life believing fear created loyalty." She looked at the battle unfolding before them. Chapter 10. The Guardian's Choice. Narrator. The ancient guardian's shield shattered. A wave of blue crystal fragments scattered across space like falling stars. The Harvester fleet surged forward. The final battle had begun. Thousands of human and Imperial warships accelerated together. Silver and black vessels flew side by side. No one cared who had once been an enemy. There was only one objective: protect the cradle. Fleet Marshal Helena Ward's voice echoed across every Allied channel. All fleets, hold formation. Do not let the Harvesters reach the surface. Moments later, Emperor Valor issued his own command. The Empire stands with humanity. The combined fleet answered with a single roar of confirmation. For the first time in history, the galaxy fought as one. Inside the Guardian Temple, Adrian stood before the 3 glowing Guardian keys. Elira watched him silently. You already know the cost. Adrian nodded. If I activate the heart, I stay here. Forever. Elira answered gently. Not as a prisoner, as a guardian. Princess Celine stepped forward. There has to be another way. Elira lowered her eyes. I searched for one. For centuries. There isn't. Outside, the Harvester world unleashed another devastating blast. The Guardian Mountains trembled. Ancient towers collapsed into the sea. General Marcus Hale shouted through the communicator. Captain, they're breaking through. We won't hold much longer. Suddenly, the silver-eyed Harvester leader appeared inside the temple as a holographic projection. Its emotionless gaze fixed on Adrian. You continue repeating the same mistake. Adrian crossed his arms. Standing up for people isn't a mistake. The Harvester replied, Civilizations create conflict. They destroy themselves. We merely preserve what remains. Adrian shook his head. You preserve memories. We protect lives. For the first time, the Harvester leader hesitated, only for a moment. Then it vanished. The temple doors burst open. Harvester drones poured inside. Princess Celine and General Hale formed a defensive line. Fleet Marshal Helena Ward arrived with human guardians, pushing the enemy back. Go, Adrian. We'll hold them. Explosions echoed through the ancient halls. The final path to the heart of the cradle was open. Adrian walked alone into the central chamber. A colossal sphere of blue light floated above an endless platform. The heart of the cradle. The 3 guardian keys slowly rose into the air. One by one, they merged with the sphere. The entire planet awakened. Across the galaxy, every guardian structure lit up for the first time in thousands of years. Elira's voice echoed gently. Only a true guardian can complete the bond. Adrian looked one last time toward his friends. The end.
If you enjoyed this HFY Chronicles story, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next journey across the stars. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next adventure.